Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another children's Torah story. Today, we are continuing with the 10 plagues. And do you remember? Moshe and Aaron came to Paro, and they said, Paro, oh Paro, if you don't let the Jewish people go, Hashem says that there will be all kinds of terrible things that will happen. And Paro said, Hashem? Who is Hashem? I don't know about Hashem. Is that even a real thing? Yes, of course Hashem is real. He's the one who made the whole world. I think you're just joking. That's what Paro said. I think you're just joking. So that is why what they did was they started making Hashem's plagues on the land of Egypt. So number one was they took the stick and they hit the river, and the river turned into blood. Number two, they took the stick and they hit the river, and what came jumping out of the river everywhere? Ribbit, 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 frogs. Ribbit, ribbit.
No, that's a snake.
I know, but that's the best I can do for now. Number three, they hit the ground, and all the ground turned into lice. I need to show this to the people. And all the ground turned into lice. Itchy head. It's driving me crazy. All the lice. And then they said, Paro, if you still don't let the Jewish people go, then there will be wild animals everywhere. And Paro said, I'm not scared of that. Bring the wild animals. Well, that's fine, Paro. Tell us that you're not scared of it. But then, the next morning, in the land of Egypt, Paro was walking along down the street. Oh, what a lovely day. I'm so glad to be Paro, and I'm so glad that the Jewish people are my slaves, and I will never let them go. And I'm not scared of it. Roar! 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 And the next thing Paro knew, he was getting chased all over by a tiger, and finally he managed to get away. I am so tired. That was crazy how that tiger was chasing after me. At least now I am nice and say, roar! Lion! Roar! Roar! And eventually he got tired of running away from the lion, and he climbed up a tree or something, and then he was feeling like everything was fine. But then, all of a sudden, wolf! Paro was just being chased all over the whole land of Egypt by these crazy wild animals. And was it only Paro, Yeladim? Monkeys, I put in the monkey for fun. And was it only Paro, Yeladim? Oh no, it was not. Here is one of the bad Egyptian police who used to try to put Jewish babies in jail in the river. And he was walking along, also having a lovely day. Oh, I love being a bad policeman and being horrible to everyone. Ooh! Stomp, 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 stomp. Oh, stomp, 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 stomp. Stomp, stomp, stomp. And he almost got stepped on by a elephant. It was crazy, Yeladim. The wild animals. Elephants are definitely wild animals, and they're super scary. In fact, Yeladim, who knows what is the most dangerous wild animal in the world?
Elephant.
What wild animals are most dangerous to people out of all the animals?
Elephant.
Hippos. Hippopotami. It's one hippopotamus, two hippopotami. Hippopotami are the most dangerous. That's my funny way of saying dangerous. Are the most dangerous out of all the wild animals in the world. The hippopotami. Anyway, so hippopotami and elephants and lions and tigers and bears and wolves and what else? I mean, I can't hear you, but try to say them. Monkeys. I don't know if monkeys are really scary wild animals. Maybe the monkeys came and started throwing bananas at them. Oh, oh, ah, ah. Oh, says Paro. They're throwing bananas at me. Anyway, that was another very hard plague for the Egyptians. No, it was, because you know what? It was like lockdown. They were inside their houses the whole time. They were scared to go out, not even to go to the shops. Imagine, you go to the shops to go and buy some breakfast, and then you meet a lion who thinks that you should be his breakfast. Good idea or bad idea? Not a great idea. That would be very, very scary and dangerous indeed. So, that is definitely. Well, the Jewish people didn't have anything to be scared of. Where the Jewish people lived in the land of Goshen, it was so relaxed and peaceful. And the birds were shining and the sun was singing. Oops, wrong way around. The birds were singing and the sun was shining, and they had such a calm and relaxed day. I know, it's okay. Do you want Shalva to help you? Okay. Shalva, will you help Azrael clean up a bit, please?
Okay,
Thank
does
you.
not need a bath.
Perfect. No, just like a cloth. Thank you. So, the Jewish people were having such a lovely, relaxed time in the land of Goshen, with no wild animals or anything. And the Jewish and the Egyptians were all running around scared of all the crazy wild animals coming after them all the time. Well, that was the fourth plague, wild animals. The next plague was for all the Egyptians' animals. So this one wasn't wild animals. This was like cows. You see the lovely cow? This was the cows that they had. And what's this one? That's a sheep. You can all see that's a sheep, right? I know it's really a bunny rabbit, but I'm pretending it's a sheep. So this was with the cows and the sheep. And Moshe and Aaron came to Paro. And Moshe and Aaron said, Paro, you still haven't listened to Hashem. You'd better start listening. Time is running out. If you don't listen to Hashem, the next plague will be that all of your animals, all of the Egyptian animals, will get sick. Will get really sick. And Paro... Okay, so ask Mommy to help. All the Egyptian animals are going to get sick unless you listen to Hashem and let the Jewish people go. Okay, so Paro said, nah, I'm still not worried. That's what Paro said. I'm still not worried. I don't mind what you would do. Well, then Yeladim, I'm sorry to tell you that the next day you look outside and what do you see? Achoo! Achoo! Goes the cow. And what did I say this was? A sheep. Goes, achoo! Take us to the vet, please. We are so sick. They were really not very healthy at all. It was not good. And meanwhile, the Jewish people, how were the Jewish people doing? How were all their animals? Their animals were as happy as can be, dancing and prancing and animaling around. No problems with their animals. So if somebody was visiting Egypt, they would look in the Egyptian areas and they would say, achoo, achoo, yeah. And they would go to the Jewish area. These are now the Jewish animals. Oh, what a lovely day to be an animal in Goshen. I'm having a great day. The sun is shining. The birds are singing and I'm feeling fantastic. That is what the Jewish animals were saying. They were so happy and they felt so good. So that was another plague. Well, I'll fix that later on. But you know which one this is? This is, oh, there we go. I did fix it now. This is the wild animals. Roar, from the last plague. So then all their animals got sick and still Paro did not let the Jewish people. Worse and worse, I must tell you, Yeladim. Because if you think about it, the first three plagues weren't actually scary or like that. They were just really gross. I mean, after all, there we go. I mean, after all, blood isn't scary to have a river made of blood. I mean, it's like a big miracle, but it's like gross. You can't drink it. You can't wash in it. We'll sort it out later, okay? Then the next one, which was the frogs. Frogs also aren't scary. I don't think too many people are like, oh no, the frog's going to eat me. We're not scared of frogs. It's just super gross to have those frogs around. And then the lice also wasn't scary, but it was horrible. So the first 3 plagues were horrible. But they also got closer and closer to the Egyptians. Plague number 1, the blood, was a bit far away. That was in the river. Plague number 2, the frogs, was even closer. That was in their homes and in their ice creams and in their bread and in their shoes. Plague number 3 was even closer than that. That was the lice that were in their hair and on their body all over. And then, that was the first 3 plagues, which were horrible plagues getting worse and worse. The next 3 plagues were scary plagues. Plague number 4 was the wild animals. Roar, like we learned about. Roar, the wild animals. Roar. Plague number 5, that's super scary, like we said, right? It's going around everywhere, getting scared everywhere they go. Next plague was the animals getting sick. And the Egyptians all got so scared because what's going to happen? Our animals all getting sick. Whoops. And are we also going to get sick? Well, the next plague, plague number 6, was even worse. Because, can you know which plague this is? Which plague is coming after the Egyptian animals? Say it out loud if you know. I won't be able to hear it. I still want you to say it out loud. Good. Boils is the right answer. This is what it's going to be. I don't know how well you can see it over there, but they've got like all boils on them. Well, Hashem says to Moshe and Aaron, and this one also Paro didn't get a warning. Paro got a warning for number 1 and number 2, the blood and the frogs. He didn't get a warning for the lice. He got a warning for number 4 and number 5 for the wild animals and the animals getting sick. He didn't get a warning for the boils. So Hashem didn't even say, go tell Paro. Hashem said, Moshe and Aaron, go and take some ash. Do you guys know what ash is? Ash is like that black and gray stuff when something gets burnt. So they took some ash out of the oven, because in those days the oven used to use wood, so it would make a lot of ash. It was like a little braai. So they went and got ash out of the oven. Take, both Moshe and Aaron, take your hands full of ash. So now you've got Moshe's 2 hands and Aaron's 2 hands full of ash. How many hands full of ash?
2.
4, because 2 people with 2 hands. 4 hands full of ash. Put that all into Moshe's hand.
But then he wouldn't be able to.
How could he hold it? That was the first miracle. Put all 4 hands worth of ash into Moshe's hand. There's Moshe holding the ash. And Moshe, I want you to throw it up into the sky. That is what Moshe did. Moshe threw up that ash up into the sky, and it made like a cloud that went over the whole land of Egypt.
Why not including the Jewish?
Not including the Jewish part, not Goshen, only the Egyptian part. So it went up over the whole, they made this cloud that went over the whole land of Egypt. And then the cloud started coming down like a little bit of ashy rain. And little bits came down, little bits hit him. And as it touched the Egyptians, Enoch saw something so sore. What was sore for the Egyptians? It started making boils as it hit them. Boom! One on the forehead. Ow, sore boil. Boom! Another one on the nose. Ah, boil. Another one on the hand. Another one on the knee. Making boils all over them. Boom! One right on the top of their head. And do you know that in the olden days, the Egyptians often used to shave their heads? I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of the olden days, the Egyptians shaved their heads. That was actually because of lice. Because they were scared of lice. They'd sometimes wear wigs and that. But they used to shave their heads because they were scared of lice. And that was also why that 3rd plague of lice was so bad. But now it was landing on their heads because they didn't have hair. And it was landing on their feet. And they got boils all over the place. And it was so sore. And do you know who got the boils worst of all? Out of everyone in the whole of Egypt, who got the boils? I think the Zieglers are saying Paro. But Paro's not the right answer, I'm sorry to tell you. Paro didn't get it worst of all. He did get it. Oh, the boils are so bad. But there was somebody who got boils even much worse than Paro, and that was the magicians. Ow, 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 boils all over. Oh, mommy, help me. Mommy, help me. The boils are so sore, mommy. Mommy, that was what they were all shouting. I don't know if they were really calling their mummies. I'm just doing that for fun. Oh, mommy, the boils are sore. Make me better, mommy. Give me a bottle, mommy, so that I can lie in bed. My boils are so sore. Well, those Egyptian magicians got so sore from the boils, they had to lie down in bed the whole day. And they didn't get out of bed because the boils made them so very sore. Oh, shame, man. But you know why? Because they were the ones who were telling everyone, oh, we can also do miracles just like Moshe. Oh, that's not really Hashem, that's just magic. They were the ones telling people, oh, the plagues aren't really from Hashem. So they were the ones who learned for themselves that the plagues really were from Hashem. Sorry for you, Mr. Magicians. Maybe you'll think twice next time before you go and do something crazy like pretending you can do magic just so that people won't believe in Hashem. Where are their mummies? I don't know where their mummies are. Do you want to have their mummies come and take care of them? Here we go. Here's the mummy.
Is that really why you got that?
Oh, don't worry, my little Nunu magicians. I will take care of you and tuck you in bed. So there you go. The mummy took care of them so they could stay in bed. Well, that was not all. Oh, no. That was not all. Because then Moshe and Aaron came back to Paro. And they said, hey, Paro, how's it going over here? And Paro said, oh, I'm fine, thank you. They said, oh, really, Paro? Is everything really fine? Oh, yes, he said, no problem. Everything's going great. Oh, really, Paro? Everything's going great. What about the blood and the frogs and the lice and the wild animals and the animals getting sick and the boils? It's not the best, but it's fine. Well, Paro, now is coming the worst plague of all. Not darkness.
Not the last plague.
Not the last plague.
No, the last plague's the worst.
Well, that's interesting because the last plague we think is the worst plague, but there was another plague which the Torah says, Hashem said, this is the worst plague of all. And that was the hail. Quite right, Ezekiel. That was the hail that was coming next. Why is the hail the worst plague of all? Shalva said, I think the death of the firstborn was the worst plague of all. I agree with her. So why does Hashem say the hail was the worst plague of all? Why do you think?
They're huge.
Well, the hailstones were huge and properly the scariest. That is true. Hailstones were big and very scary. What else?
They had fire.
There was fire with the hailstones. We'll speak about that as well. There were some other very important reasons why the hail was worst of all. And I was about to tell you now, but I see that we are out of time. Okay, I'll still tell you. I'll just tell you the last little bit. I'll tell you. So one of the reasons why the hail is the worst is because normally each of the plagues was only for certain things. The blood was only on the river. The frogs were also from the river and the frogs. And the lice was only to make lice. The animals getting sick was only for animals. The locusts later on are going to be for plants. But the hail was bad for the plants. It smashed all the trees and most of the plants. It was bad for the animals. Any animal that was left outside would get smashed by the hail. And it was bad for the people. Any people around would get smashed. Even the plague of the firstborn was only for people. So that was a way in which the hail was actually worst of all. And that's what Moshe and Aaron were warning Paro. Paro, be careful. This is the worst plague coming. Now is definitely the time to let the Jewish people go. And do you know what Paro said, Yeladim?
No.
I will tell you next time. Have a wonderful Shabbat. Bye.